healthy altitudes to you. My name is Alex Burgess. I'm a registered dietitian, and today I'm here to share another nutritious and delicious recipe with you. So today I will be sharing a recipe for overnight oats. Overnight oats is one of my go-to meal preps for breakfast. Back when I was in school, I loved having a breakfast ready to go, especially when I had an early 8 a.m. class. It was there ready to go in the fridge as soon as I woke up. But for you guys, whether you're in school or even have early days at work, this can be a great recipe to make a couple nights a week, and then you'll have breakfast ready for you the next morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started and show you how to make my recipe for overnight oats. All right, so I've got all my ingredients set out here and I'm ready to go. So I've got my oats and my liquids over here, and then some fruit, and then flax and chia seeds, which I'm throwing those in mainly for the nutrition benefits that they provide, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, this is what I'm working with today. Now, something that I love doing with recipes is sharing how you can definitely adjust it as much as you need. So I'm using frozen blueberries today, but if you want to use fresh fruits or just other kinds of frozen fruits that you like better, then feel free to change the recipe as much as you want. So the main thing to remember is you want to keep a consistent ratio between the oats and then the liquid. So I like to do 2 parts of liquid to 1 part oat. So I'm gonna start with half a cup of oatmeal, or just raw oats, I guess. And there is kind of a misconception that maybe you shouldn't eat raw oats, maybe that's not safe. What I've seen is that studies show it's fine. The main issue with eating raw oats is if you're not having enough liquid alongside of them, that can cause some issues. So of course, if you're just eating a bunch of raw oats with no other liquid, that might cause a little bit of GI distress, and we don't want that. Nothing wrong with our guts, we don't want that. So just as long as you're eating these oats with an appropriate amount of liquid, which you want anyways for the flavor and texture, then you'll be totally fine. So I put my half a cup of oats in this bowl, and then I'm gonna go ahead and measure out a cup of milk. I'm using oat milk because, again, I'm dairy free, but you can use whatever kind of milk works for you in your diet. So I'm just gonna measure a little bit over a cup. You don't have to measure perfectly. If anything, I would go a little over, just because the flaxseed and chia seeds tend to absorb a lot of liquid themselves. So if you want a thinner oatmeal, then maybe use a little more liquid, but it's up to you. And then I'm also just going to measure out, I'll guess, but about a tablespoon of maple syrup. Okay. And so that's really important for the flavor. If your food doesn't taste good, you're not gonna wanna eat it. So if there's nothing wrong with adding a little bit of sugar to your breakfast in the morning, as long as that's gonna help you eat the breakfast and get all those nutrients to get ready for your day. So that's the basic recipe for just straight up overnight oats without any flavorings in there. Just half a cup of oats, 1 cup of liquid. Most likely you're gonna wanna use milk for the flavor of it, and then a little bit of maple syrup, about a tablespoon, to add some sweetness. So then next up, I'm gonna get going with the other things that I'll mix in. So I'll go ahead and start with the flaxseed. So flaxseed, and I am using ground flaxseed. This is really high in fiber as well as omega-3s. Omega-3s are a healthy type of fat that are really good for your brain health as well as your heart. And they also contribute positively to your blood lipid levels. So if you have conversations with your doctor about your LDL cholesterol, eating a good amount of omega-3s, especially if they're replacing certain other types of fats like saturated fats, that's gonna have a positive effect and lower those LDL levels. Then just along the same lines, I'm using chia seeds. They have pretty similar nutritional benefits, also a good source of omega-3s. So I'm adding about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons. It's really whatever you like. Something to keep in mind is that both of these are going to be pretty high in fiber, and then oats are already naturally high in fiber. So if you aren't used to eating a lot of grains and vegetables in your diet, you don't necessarily want to go overboard right away, because that might cause some gut issues such as constipation, and we don't want that. So use these as much as you see fit. But I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my lemon zest. I just like using the lemon zest from about half a lemon to bring some brightness. It adds a nice little flavor, but it's pretty subtle. You can add lemon juice too if you want. I don't really like that in my oatmeal, but that's the beauty of making it at home, is you put in whatever you like. So I'm gonna do about half of a lemon in terms of the zest. I'll zest about half of this guy, see where we're at. And then finally I'll add in the blueberries, and then that'll be it. So I'm using frozen blueberries today. A lot of people don't realize this, but frozen fruits and vegetables are pretty much the exact same, nutritionally speaking, as their fresh counterparts. So it might seem like, oh, if you're keeping blueberries in the freezer for a long time, isn't that going to get rid of some of their nutrients? And that actually doesn't happen. In fact, the freezing can actually preserve some of the nutrients. So when farmers pick their fruit to be frozen, they're picking it at the highest peak of highest quality. So these frozen blueberries will actually be really high and nutrient dense, and they're gonna taste really great as well. So I like using frozen fruit. It's easy to keep on hand, and in overnight oats, it'll defrost. So in the morning, you'll still have nice juicy blueberries. So I'm just gonna add them about half a cup again. You don't have to measure perfectly, just whatever looks right. But I'd say usually half a cup of fruit looks good to me. And then I'm just gonna get a spoon out of here, mix it all up, and then I'll be good to go. So this recipe is super easy, super quick to make. And then if you do this, you can even make a couple batches one night, and then you'll have breakfast for the next few days. It's really fun and easy to do. And again, I encourage you to switch it up with the different fruits and flavorings. I've seen things like apple pie overnight oats or carrot cake overnight oats. You can get kind of creative with the different things you mix in. And so it's gonna look pretty soupy when it's all mixed together. But that's because the oats haven't had time to absorb that liquid yet. So by the time you come back in the morning after you get a good night's rest, then you'll have nice, thick, creamy overnight oats. So I encourage you to head over to our blog. healthyaltitudes.com is the main website, and you'll find the blog on there. And then if you find this recipe on there, there'll be a post with a little more information about the nutrition and just tips for cooking it. And then you'll also find a recipe card that you can download. So it's just a PDF, tells you how to make it. It's really easy to do. And yeah, so I encourage you to check it out and keep watching our other YouTube videos to find more nutritious and delicious recipes. Thanks so much.